Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh. This is Native Nomads, and today we're going to be talking through all of the electrical that I've ran throughout the entire van. It's been a long day. We've been working pretty hard today. If you look behind me, you'll see most of the insulation is done as well. But before I covered everything up, I wanted to walk you through the wire size that we use, give you all the information about how we ran the wires in our Sprinter van, and then hopefully it'll help you guys while you're doing your conversion. Before we get started, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Serg Supply. Serg Supply is doing all of our custom cabinetry, all of our floor panels, ceiling panels, wall panels, galley. Everything is being hand-built by Serg Supply and shipped to our door. It saves you a lot of time in the process, and it allows you to adventure more and do less conversion work. If you're not a custom cabinet maker, sometimes it can take you a long time to get it done, but this is a quick and easy way. That's who we're using. In the description is their website, as well as a 5% discount code to all of their products. It will definitely make your conversion much easier and get you out on the road as quickly as possible. So let's hop into the van and get through all this electrical so we can get on to insulating and putting in our wall panels. All right, so the first thing I want to talk through are the holes that we had to drill. So what you're going to need to get yourself, if you don't already have one, is a step bit. This is the step bit we used. It's Irwin. We got it at Lowe's. I will put the link in the description for the step bit that we're using for this particular piece of the puzzle. Now, what I decided to do, all of my wiring is coming right down here over the passenger side wheel well box. This wheel well box will be right here. This is the wheel well. All of my wires are going to run directly into the wheel well box, and my fuse panel and everything will be right here. So what we did is we ran them all up through the wall. We have this taped off because this is going to be a USB. We came all the way up through here, and all of this is a hole that I had to drill. So I used my step bit here. I drilled a hole up so I could bring everything, because I want to keep everything back in here so it's not impeding when we're putting the wall panels up. Then I brought the wires up and I drilled two holes here. One for everything going to the front and one for everything that's going to the back, minus this one fan wire. All the wire that we're using is 16 gauge. Now, the reason we're using 16 gauge, and I'm switching hands here real quick, I apologize. The reason we're using 16 gauge is because 16 gauge is more than sufficient for every item that we're going to be running in here. We will have only a few options for AC power. Everything else will be DC power. If you're not familiar with the difference between AC and DC, leave a comment, and I will try to get some more technical electrical information or another video possibly done for you guys. But for the most part, everything is DC, which is a much lower draw, and it's going to make our battery system last longer. Now, another hole that I had to drill, so all the wires come up, they come through those spots, and they go in two directions. So another hole I had to drill was down here, because this will be covered by a wall panel, all of this right here. So coming down through here and back over here is where we're going to have a USB. So we'll have a USB and a USB-C here. We will, I'm sorry, this is shaky and I apologize. We'll also have a USB and a USB-C here, which is the passenger side, where the bed area is, so we can charge our phones while we're sleeping. I'm going to put a USB-C and USB back here. So right here you have little plastic covers. There's 3 of them. I'm going to drill one out, bring these wires through, and have a USB-C, USB, whole thing going on back here, so we can charge our phones as well as possibly an iPad if we want to watch TV while we are camping. Nothing wrong with watching a movie as you're going to sleep with the doors open and the mountains in the background. If you're, I think that's why we all do this. But then what we have is up for each fan, you have a wire going for each of our Max Air fans. We do not have an air conditioner in here. We may get to that. If I do need to put an air conditioner in, I just need to take the fan out, cut a hole that's about an inch bigger, and I can place my air conditioning unit in there. It will require taking some of the ceiling panels off, but for right now, that's plenty. I'm looking at some other battery-powered air conditioning options just because we're not going to run our air conditioner that much, or we generally don't, and if you're high in elevation, you typically don't need it. So up here, what we have, we are going to have another USB-C and USB back here, and this wall panel will be covering it. This is under the driver's side, the rear window. It'll be right here. And then what we have are some, this will be for the lights. There'll be a galley cabinet here. And we also have one ran for our 4 lights that will run down the center of the van. And then, let me see here. Oh, no, there was supposed to be another one. There was another one back here. Maybe it's back here somewhere. Or maybe I got to run another one. But we're going to have another one ran back here for lights over this cabinet, because we will have a 60-inch cabinet running along this side. Now, I know that this is a lot of talk, and it might not be super easy for you to follow, but one thing I will recommend that you do, let me find it. I will put this link in the description because this is something that has been oh so helpful for us. So I'm going to take my eye out. Get a 25-foot fish tape. There's a trick for this fish tape for your insulation that I'm going to show you in our insulation video, but this will help you run your wires through the walls. And in one particular location where we brought it in right by the B pillar here and brought it down through this window, or by the window, and then out through here, that required the fish tape. Now also, some of your sections up top, these little ribs where you can shove your wires through, that also will require fish tape in some of the locations. So it's something to keep in mind because you may need that. We did need it, and it helped out tons. Now, on the wires, if you can see right here, we just taped them to the ceiling. We'll put the insulation over and that'll all get held up. But for right now, we kind of just wanted to clean things up so we didn't have wires hitting us in the face all over the place. And then on the holes that we drilled, because we drilled one here as well, and then one down here too to run some wires through. You can probably use something more so in line with this, especially on all those holes that you drilled, because they are sharp on the inside. So after we drilled the hole, we took our little file and we filed everything down with our file. It was kind of hard getting in there, but take the extra time to get in there and make sure all of those burrs and everything are taken care of. I will put this file in the description as well if you want to purchase one. You're going to need one no matter what for all the holes you're cutting in your van, but definitely for that process. And I keep switching hands because my hands are getting heavy using this freaking camera. Now, another thing that we're doing, so I don't want to reveal too much about this because our electrical system is probably the most simple electrical system that you could ever have. Everyone can do it. This may seem like a lot. A lot of people have these crazy 800 amp hour setups with 4,000 watt inverters. And honestly, if you want to purchase something like that, have at it. But we're talking $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 for an electrical system. And what most people don't realize is if you have a DC to DC charger and you have solar panels and you're in sunshine, obviously, you're not going to need that much battery power because you're not going to go through it faster than you're going to replenish it. But because people don't know, that is a huge selling point for van builders. And I'm not like knocking any van builders. I'm just saying that you do not need that. I have lived off grid in many vehicles and we have had next to nothing for electrical power. Now, it does depend on how you want to live, but just pump the brakes a bit. But that's my opinion. Please don't take my opinion for more than what you feel that it's worth. So here we have 2 large power cables. Where my build is going to be a little bit different is up in the front, Oh, sorry for the camera situation there. I'm gonna try to walk out of the van. So up in the front right here, we have a spare battery that came from the factory. So we're gonna utilize this spare battery for some of our components and as well as some of our charging options, because it's already charging off the main battery and it came from Mercedes that way. So for us not to use this as a secondary battery would be silly, so I'm going to use it as a secondary battery for some other options, which will make it much cheaper. But we had to run this big, thick 4-gauge wire, and right now I just have it in this wire loom to protect it, but I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to hide it yet. So if anybody has any advice on how to hide this, I kind of have it brought up through here. This is the door. Brought up through here, and then really just ran along here for right now. I will be covering it. I will find a way to hide it and make it look really pretty and clean, but right now I just needed to get that done so I can start working on getting these wall panels installed, getting the windows cut, and just getting to a better place, because I mean, one day of work, we got all the electrical pretty much situated, and because we're going to be using a much different system, it's going to be so easy. One thing I will recommend is, if you guys are going to be running your wires first, label all of them. These are my ceiling lights, front fan, rear fan. That just makes it so later on down the line, after I forget because I've been doing 10 other things, I can come back to this and know exactly where everything is. So that's what I got. I think I've gone over everything on how to do what we've done. 16 gauge wires, what we're using throughout for everything. Our diesel heater is going to go in a different spot. That was the whole point of me showing you that battery up there, because we're not going to put the diesel heater in the traditional spot because I want to keep that battery. So I'm working through what spot to put it, and that's pretty much it. I'll show you all the components that we use to connect everything to our battery system once we get to that point. But this right here is just the electrical, how we ran it, what we did. Everybody has their own take on this stuff, and I'm not going to say anybody's right or wrong. It's just a matter of preference. If you've done anything with vehicle builds in the past, or you've remodeled houses, you know, a lot of that stuff can kind of just translate into this project. So it's been relatively easy so far. I'm hoping it stays that way. And we should be able to get this thing done and get it on the road for our January trip, where we're headed west to get into the sunshine in the desert and out of the Ohio cold. So all that being said, if you guys found the information that we gave today helpful, like the video, subscribe, share it with somebody, help the channel grow. We would appreciate that greatly. And until next time, we'll see you on the next one.